The Nevada Revised Statute and Nevada Administrative Code 656A is the law that governs interpreters and CART providers in the state of Nevada. If you provide interpreting services or CART captioning services in the state of Nevada, you are required to be registered. In this video, I will be explaining the registration requirements. This law is a consumer protection law. Its purpose is to protect the right that the deaf and hard of hearing community has to receive appropriate interpreting and captioning services in the state of Nevada. The law also holds service providers accountable for providing those interpreting and captioning services appropriately. These registration requirements will not go into effect until August 1st of 2023, next year. There will be a transition period from August 1st, 2023 to August 1st, 2028. This transition period allows service providers the time that they need to meet the new registration requirements. There are 4 registration categories. The first is educational registration, and that's for services being provided in the K-12 setting. The second is community registration, which is for service providers in other settings as well as post-secondary education. The third is the student registration category, which is for students who are currently enrolled in an internship class in their interpreter training program. And the third is for CART registration, which is for people who provide CART services for the deaf and hard of hearing community. The requirements for the educational registration category are a bachelor's degree in any field or RID's alternative pathway for educational equivalency. The credentials required are either an EIPA score of 4.0 or above and having passed the EIPA written test, or a nationally recognized certification exam and having passed the EIPA written test. The education requirement only applies to new applicants after August 1st, 2023. Which means that if you are registered prior to August 1st, 2023, you are not required to have a bachelor's degree. You just have to maintain your registration and ensure that it doesn't expire. Interpreters who hold educational registrations are allowed to provide interpreting services in the K-12 educational setting under the law. Those interpreters must take care and ensure that their skills and knowledge are an appropriate fit for each assignment. The registration renewal requirements for this category are 20 hours of professional development annually or maintenance of your nationally recognized interpreter certification. All registration renewals will occur on August 1st of every year. Provisional registration is a temporary registration limited to 5 years. This means you must meet the education and credential requirements for the full educational registration within that 5-year period. The requirements for provisional education registration are an associate's degree in any field, as well as having a 3.5 EIPA score or above and having passed the EIPA written test. This education requirement only applies to new applicants after August 1st, 2023, which means that if you are registered before August 1st, 2023, you are not required to have an associate's degree to register. Interpreters who hold a provisional educational registration are allowed to provide services in the K-12 setting under the law. However, those interpreters must take care and ensure that their skills and knowledge are an appropriate fit for each assignment. The renewal requirements for provisional educational interpreters are 20 hours of professional development annually, as well as 20 hours of mentoring annually. All registration renewals will take place on August 1st of each year. The requirements for community registration are a bachelor's degree in any field or RID's alternative pathway for educational equivalency. The credentials required are either a nationally recognized interpreter certification or an EIPA score of 4.0 or above and having passed a nationally recognized certification written exam. The education requirement only applies to new applicants after August 1st, 2023, which means if you're registered prior to August 1st, 2023, you are not required to hold a BA degree to continue with your registration. You just need to ensure you maintain your registration so it doesn't lapse. Interpreters who hold community registration are allowed to provide services in a variety of settings, including medical, legal, and post-secondary education under the law. These interpreters need to take care to ensure that their skills and experience are an appropriate match for each assignment. Similar to the educational registration, community registration also has a provisional or temporary category. This means interpreters in this category must meet the education and credential requirements for full community registration within a 5-year period. Interpreters who are in the community provisional registration category are required to have an associate's degree in any field. The credential requirement for the community provisional registration is an EIPA score of 3.5 or above and having passed a nationally recognized written exam, or the completion of an interpreter training program and having passed a nationally recognized written exam. The education requirement only applies to new applicants after August 1st, 2023. This means if you're registered before August 1st, 2023, you are not required to have an associate's degree for registration. Interpreters who hold provisional community registration are allowed to provide services in a variety of settings, including medical and post-secondary education. These interpreters must take caution and determine if their skills and experience are an appropriate fit for each assignment. Interpreters who hold provisional community registration are not permitted to interpret in legal settings. The renewal requirements for provisional community registration are 20 hours of professional development annually, as well as 20 hours of mentoring annually. All registration renewals will happen in August of each year. The student registration category is for interpreting students who are currently enrolled in an internship class in an interpreter training program. There are 3 requirements for this category. First, they must be 18 years or older. Second, they must have a high school diploma or a GED. And third, they must be enrolled in a course that requires a practicum or internship in interpreting. Students are not permitted to interpret in legal or medical settings and must interpret with another team interpreter who is registered. Student registration will expire upon completion of the class. It can be renewed if the student enrolls in a new course requiring an internship or practicum. CART registration educational requirements are a high school diploma or GED. The credentials required for CART registration is either certification from the Certified Court Reporters Board of Nevada or from any other state or national organization with a minimum skill assessment of 200 words per minute. CART providers should take care to ensure their skills and experience are a good match for each assignment. The renewal requirements for CART registration are to maintain certification or licensure. There are 3 standard waivers available. The first is for the bachelor's degree requirement. Interpreters who are nationally certified before August 1st, 2023, or who have been approved through the RID alternative pathway will be eligible for this waiver. The second waiver pertains to the written exam requirement. All new applicants will have a 1-year grace period to take and pass the written test for either the community or educational registration. The third waiver is for the professional development and mentoring renewal requirements. Interpreters will be eligible for a 3-month extension per year if more time is needed to meet the required hours for mentoring or professional development. Any questions about the registry can be sent via email to the address listed. More information on the registry can be found at the website shown on the slide.